It's the beginning of May, and this time we've got some great news for you about some upcoming games featuring pleasure demons, cute cuddly monsters, and the kinds of kids that I went to junior high school with. Plus we'll have the results from our first ever CCG tournament and some exciting CCG League play coming to the store. All of that for you and more on this episode of Geek Room Update. Hello Internet, I'm Jason, and I'm the owner here at the Geek Room Hobbies and Games in Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We are finally back from our extended Easter vacation. And on this episode, we've got some great news for you from some of the biggest games out there. We'll also talk a little bit about our recent KeyForge tournament and some exciting upcoming CCG League play that is coming to the store. We'll talk a little bit about our upcoming paint competitions, and at the end, I'm going to tell you about an upcoming documentary from one of my all-time favorite sci-fi TV shows. But before we get started, I did want to talk a little bit about the Geek Room Update itself. Now, you might have noticed that this episode is a lot later than most of them. We usually try to strive to have an episode every 2 weeks. You see, for a little behind-the-scenes info, we normally film Geek Room Update on Sunday evenings, but this past Sunday, for various reasons I'll get to in a minute, there were some technical difficulties and we lost most of the footage from the first half of the episode, so I'm having to reshoot it on Tuesday. So I just wanted you to know the reason why if you suddenly notice a bizarre shift in where I'm standing, how I sound, or what the lights behind me look like. The reason things got so muddled, it's really kind of technical, but essentially because this past Sunday was the big Battle of Winterfell episode for Game of Thrones, I actually had to take a break in the middle of filming the episode, and everything that I shot in the first part of the episode got lost. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that I got to see it as soon as I did. I didn't really want to wait any longer than I had to. And if you haven't seen this episode, it is absolutely phenomenal. It is literally the longest and biggest battle scene that was ever committed to film. It took them 55 nights to shoot and cost more than some major motion pictures. It's actually longer than the 40-minute Battle of Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings. Now, I don't want to give you any spoilers about what happened, but this was a really epic battle. I do have a clip to show you, again, no spoilers, but just to show you the grand scale of this past Sunday's episode of Game of Thrones. So while I am sorry about the delay in the episode, as you can see, it was well worth the wait. I also wanted to let you know that starting with our next episode of Geek Room Update, the update will start coming out on Tuesdays instead of Mondays. So just a little bit of a shift to give us a little extra time to edit, but with all of that behind the scenes stuff out of the way, let's get on to the game news. Starting things off with War Games, this week sees the long-awaited return to Warhammer of the demonic forces of the chaos god of pleasure and excess, Slaanesh. This is a big wave release with plenty of new models to add to your Chaos forces. One of the coolest is the Keeper of Secrets, which can optionally be built as Shalaxi Hellbane, and Hellbane is actually the first new Slaanesh-named character model that GW has introduced in years. In addition to all of the new models, AOS players will also have Slaanesh-themed dice and war scroll cards, as well as a new battle tome called the Hedonites of Slaanesh. The battle tome will include all of the art, lore, and rule goodness that you've come to expect from GW's battle tomes. 40k players shouldn't feel left out either, because as you know, Chaos Demons can be used in both AOS and 40k, which is weird when you consider that canonically they're not in a shared universe. But anyway, all of the new models will have construction books that contain the datasheets and rules needed to use those models in Warhammer 40k. Again, all the new Slaanesh products will be available in-store on Saturday, so if you are a fan of Chaos, or if you just like the sculpts, please feel free to come on down and pick them up. Because you know you want to. It'll feel so good. The smell of the new plastic. That first snip cutting an arm off the sprue. That rush of excitement when you first put that dab of color on the pristine... sorry. Moving on to role-playing games, this week Hasbro, the owners of Wizards of the Coast, are releasing a new starter set for Dungeons & Dragons. This one is themed around the Stranger Things television show from Netflix. Now, if you're not familiar with Stranger Things, it is basically the story of a group of junior high school friends who play D&D together, and the weird paranormal adventures that take place after one of their friends disappears on his way home from a D&D game in 1983. The new starter set has everything you will need to start playing if you've never played D&D before, and it's all themed around the Stranger Things TV show. Now, this is a little confusing. It took me a while to figure it out, but it is actually a D&D game, but it's sort of themed around the Stranger Things world, in that the adventure that comes with the starter set is allegedly written by character Mike Wheeler. It's the game that he is running for his friends in the show. The box set will also come with 5 pre-generated characters based on the characters that the boys in the show are playing in their D&D game. You'll also get dice as well as the basic rules that you will need to get started playing the game. The box set also comes with not one, but 2 different Demogorgon miniatures, one that is pre-painted and another one that is not, so that you can prime it and paint it yourself. Everything about this starter set kind of coincides with that feel of junior high kids in the 80s playing D&D, right down to the design of the box, which is very reminiscent of the iconic D&D basic set red box from all the way back in the 1980s. Again, if you're a fan of Stranger Things or of Dungeons & Dragons, this is a great way to introduce people to the game who maybe have never played it before. Again, the Stranger Things D&D starter set is available in stores now. As if the return of a long-awaited faction to Warhammer and a new 80s themed D&D starter set wasn't enough big-name game goodness for you, then let's turn our attention to CCGs, because this weekend, the 2 biggest CCGs, Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, are going head-to-head against each other by both releasing brand new expansion packs for their games. For Magic the Gathering, that expansion pack is War of the Spark. War of the Spark is the 3rd and final expansion for the Ravnica series to Magic the Gathering. It's also the 81st overall expansion to Magic. Now, War of the Spark is being billed as an event set, meaning that the whole story around the expansion focuses around an event as opposed to, say, a particular plane. In this case, the event is an all-out war between the Planeswalkers. Because of that, the set is unique in that every single booster pack will contain a Planeswalker card. There are 36 Planeswalker cards in total coming with the new War of the Spark set, as well as 2 brand new Planeswalker decks, one called Gideon and the other is called Jace. In addition to that, the new set will have a total of 264 cards to expand out your Magic collection. Again, the new War of the Spark expansion will be available this Friday. Now, not to be outdone by Magic the Gathering, but on the exact same day, Pokemon will be releasing its latest expansion pack, Pokemon Sun and Moon Unbroken Bonds. Unbroken Bonds, the latest expansion for Pokemon, is the 10th expansion in the Sun and Moon series for the Pokemon TCG. Among the other things that it is including is 7 brand new Tag Team Pokemon GX cards, as well as 7 other new Pokemon GX cards. There will be a total of 15 trainers and a brand new Special Energy card. But most importantly, one of the things that they are bringing back is Baby Pokemon, which is the first time Baby Pokemon have appeared in the Pokemon TCG in over 10 years. Again, both Pokemon Unbroken Bonds and Magic the Gathering War of the Spark will be available on Friday. Speaking of Pokemon, if you watched our big post-Gamma extravaganza, then you might remember that I mentioned we were in the process of trying to start our own Pokemon League here in the store. I mentioned that we were busy working on it and hopefully something would be coming soon, and to watch for an announcement. I am pleased to announce that beginning on Sunday, May 12th, our official Play Pokemon League will be starting here at the store. We will be playing every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Part of the reason we picked Sundays was because we didn't want to step on the other Pokemon leagues in town at some of the other stores. So if you're a big Pokemon fan, this is just one more chance for you each week to come out and play and get some of those promo cards. Again, this is something I'm really looking forward to. We've been planning it for a while. I can't wait to see all of the folks who come out to play Pokemon. It'll be every Sunday starting on the 12th of May, which, by the way, is the next day that we will be recording Geek Room Update. So you can expect to see some video footage and highlights from our very first ever League play in the very next episode. In other in-store CCG play news, we had our first ever card tournament just a few weeks ago with the KeyForge tournament of the Geek Room. This was our special promotional tournament to give away the ultra rare and super cool Geek Room branded KeyForge decks that we picked up at Gamma. The tournament was a rousing success. It was completely full. All 10 slots were taken, taking away all of the special cards we brought back from Nevada. Our third place winner, Gary, walked away with a gift certificate and a set of damage tokens. Our second place winner, Young Master Sawyer, earned himself not only a gift certificate and tokens, but a really awesome Pokemon playmat. Our big winner and champion was Austin, who went to an undefeated 4-0 record to claim not only a gift certificate, a set of tokens, and some premium metal KeyForge keys, but he is also going to be the next person whose name will appear on our in-store championship trophy. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who came out for the KeyForge tournament. It was a lot of fun. We certainly had a great time having everyone here, and we will certainly be doing some more KeyForge events in the very near future. So if you're a KeyForge fan or didn't get a chance to participate in this last tournament, then keep an eye on this space for information coming very, very soon. One more piece of in-store activity news for you. Starting next Saturday, we will be having painting competitions on the first Saturday of every month. Each month will feature a different theme, and this month's theme will be single character. The competitions are game agnostic, so you can pick a miniature from basically any line that you want. Warhammer, Malifaux, Wild West Exodus, they all count as long as they fit a 5-inch by 5-inch by 5-inch footprint. If you would like more information on the rules, you can join the Facebook painting group that we have for the store. There is a link in the description below. So if you are a painter, this is a great way to not only show off your work, but have its aesthetic value appraised and judged by a group of random strangers, which is, I'm sure, something we all want. But you can also win some fabulous prizes. The first place prize for this month's competition is a $20 gift certificate to the Geek Room, as well as a Citadel project mat. There will also be awards for second and third place, and if applicable, awards for the best new painter, which is someone who's been painting for less than a year, and the best young painter, which is any painter 16 and under. Again, these competitions will be held monthly on the first Saturday of every month, with the prizes being given out at 6 p.m. If you would like more information about the rules and entry requirements for the competition, then you can go ahead and follow the link in the description below and join the Geek Room Painting Club, where we have the full rules posted for everyone to see. Or if you have any other questions, just feel free and stop by the store and talk to either myself or Melissa. But we're looking forward to seeing all of the great miniatures that you guys are going to be submitting. And again, as I said, this will be a monthly thing. Our June competition will be vehicle/monster, so something a little bit larger for you to start working on if you want to get an early start on next month's competition. Now, before we go, as some of you might know if you're regular viewers, I like to end each episode by talking about something that is in the wider geekosphere, even if it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with gaming. And the entry for this episode is something that is near and dear to my heart. Now, I am a massive fan of Star Trek. In fact, it's probably my all-time second favorite sci-fi property behind only Doctor Who. Now, there is a lot of Star Trek to love, but out of all of it, my favorite series, hands down, no holds barred, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine was, in my opinion, ahead of its time, even if it was a little bit of a different take on Star Trek and took some fans quite a while to warm up to. But the proof of how groundbreaking it was is the fact that some of the things that people are saying make the latest incarnation of Star Trek Discovery, such a unique and different show, such as an African-American lead character, season-long story arcs, or showing the brutality of war and how it affects officers in what is ostensibly supposed to be an exploration organization. Those are all elements that existed a quarter century ago in Deep Space Nine. Now, the reason I bring this up is because on Monday, May 13th, there will be a showing of a new documentary called What We Left Behind. This is a documentary about Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's going to take a look back not only at the history and production of the show, but talk a little bit about its impact on the wider world of sci-fi and fantasy and on the Trek properties that came after it. Now, the film is co-directed by Deep Space Nine showrunner Ira Steven Behr, and while there's a lot to look forward to in it, there are two things in particular I wanted to point out. The first is that thanks to a successful Indiegogo campaign, all of the clips from Deep Space Nine that will be shown in the documentary have been re-edited and digitally remastered in full HD. Now, this is kind of a big thing because while both the original series and the Next Generation received HD remasters for subsequent releases, and Enterprise and Discovery were always HD, because of the time, effort, and cost involved in changing the Star Trek series over to HD, this is probably the only HD footage we will ever get to see from either Deep Space Nine or Voyager. The other reason I'm looking forward to this documentary, and perhaps even the biggest reason to look forward to it, is because one of the things they did for it is Ira Steven Behr got the writers of Deep Space Nine back together, including Ronald D. Moore, who is the man who created and was showrunner for the Battlestar Galactica reboot, back together to map out what an 8th season of Deep Space Nine would have looked like. And they animated some of what they think that they would have shown had the show gone on for another year. The film is being shown by Fathom Events, and it is a one-night-only engagement. It'll be in a bunch of theaters here in the Omaha area, but I personally will be going to the one that will be at the Village Point Cinema just up the street from the store here. Again, it is at 7 p.m. on May 13th in case you would like to join me, or you can check out the link in the description below to see some of the other theaters in town that are showing the film. Now, in case you doubt my street cred or unabiding love for Deep Space Nine, you should all know that each and every time you come into my store, you are unknowingly being affected by my love for Deep Space Nine. What I mean by that is each time one of you comes into the store, in the back of my mind is something that I remember from years ago from Deep Space Nine that really affects the way I try to interact with each and every one of you.
At times like this, I'm reminded of the 57th rule of acquisition. Good customers are as rare as latinum. Treasure them.
Well, that does it for this episode of Geek Room Update. Again, I'm Jason. I'm the owner here at the Geek Room Hobbies and Games. I sincerely want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Geek Room Games. We'll be back again in 2 weeks for more Geek Room Update. But until then, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and happy gaming, everybody. Are we done? Okay. I gotta go get a haircut, or else I'm gonna have to do another one of these in a hat.